everybody, this is Alyssa from MenckArtsandCrafts, and I want to welcome you guys to my Christmas premiere video. We're going to do something a little bit different. So first off, happy holidays. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I'm super excited for this. Today we're actually going to be painting, I'm going to decide which scroll I'm going to be doing it on, but we are going to be painting a Christmas holly in Chinese brush painting. So for anyone who's been part of my channel, I've mentioned that I do Chinese brush painting, and I've talked about it, and everybody's been telling me, we want to see a video of you doing Chinese brush painting. And I thought, what better time to do it than for the Christmas premiere? So I'm going to be doing a little, I'm going to be painting a Christmas holly for you guys. I just want to look, I have two different styles of scroll for you rather than painting it right directly on rice paper. So this is rice paper. It is a, this is a double schwan, which schwan is rice paper. Schwan just means rice paper in Chinese. So rather than just painting on a rice paper, I am going to be painting on a pre-mounted rice paper, which would be already mounted on a scroll. It just gives it more of that finished look. So this one is already got, it's a beautiful one, but I'm going to decide, I don't know if I want to paint one quite that big. We'll see, because this one, as you can see, is quite large. It's about 12 inches wide, but about 24 or plus inches long. So we'll see if I want to paint on that one or if I want to paint on this one. This one looks like it might be a little bit smaller. This is a much nicer quality scroll, but it's a much larger project, whereas this one is a much smaller project. So I may use this one. It is a little bit smaller, but I think I may do this one, and I like that it's green, so we may work on this one. Okay, I think we're gonna go with this one here. So our colors, and I don't just have a random tissue laying down, I use this to blot my brush. So when we're talking about Chinese brush paintings, we have there are four treasures in the art of Chinese brush painting: your ink stick, your ink stone, your paper, and your brush. I cheat. I use bottled ink, which is actually much more common nowadays because it takes quite a while to get your, to grind your ink traditionally. And that's not something that I want to deal with having to take the time to do. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have my photo of the image that I plan on painting. I want to pick my brush. So these are brushes that you can see here. I'm going to keep an eye on my time. So these are what the brushes look like. We're going to go with a smaller brush because I want to start with my holly berries. So we're going to get the brush ready. So you soak the brush. I have my water off to the right. We're going to be working with 3 shades of red, 2 shades of green. I have my black ink, and then I have some golds up here as well for the accents. So you soak the brush, stroke the excess water off. It's a really dry climate, so I have to make sure I get the water very thoroughly in. And then you stroke, dip the tip, and then you tap the brush. And that's when I come in here to tap the excess off the body of your brush. And that's what you do right there. And then I am going to get little tip of that. And then you want to blend to get the color, to get a gradation that you need. And I'm going to get a little bit of this medium red, maybe just a dabble, just a toe dip of the deeper red. And I don't want all that moisture right there. So now I have to decide, where do I want to put this on my canvas? And that's where we're going to get started. So we want to have little circles. So we're going to kind of get started with our circles and go from there. And the thing about brush painting, there are no mistakes. It's kind of like Bob Ross. There's only happy accidents. There are no mistakes. It is what it is, because you can't go back and change what you've done. What you lay down on the canvas is what it is. There are no changing it. And I am not, and I always have to remember that when I'm painting on the, when you're painting on the pre-mounted paper, it's a much drier paper than what I'm used to. So it doesn't have any of the bleeding that I'm used to. So that's one of the things that's kind of a little bit different than what I'm used to in my normal way of painting. Because that's the thing about rice paper, is it's a very, very, it absorbs the moisture and you tend to get a lot more bleeding, and you have to really control your moisture with your painting when we are painting. My circles are never really very circly. So you just kind of, I always build them up a little bit. I want a little bit more of the darks on that one there. I've also never really talked as I've done on brush painting before. So this is a new experience. We will see how it looks. New for all of us. I don't know how many of you guys have ever watched somebody do brush painting before. This is something that I absolutely love. My mom's a professional artist, so but she's a Western artist. So watercolors, oils, acrylics, the traditional Western style of arts. And she's tried teaching me to paint, like my entire life. She's tried teaching me to paint. I'm pretty good at like drawing. I can do traditional drawing, but I've never been able to do, she's never been able to teach me to paint and have me actually paint and like get it, because it just didn't click in my brain. I have a very analytical, like, my brain is very much, I need things to be set like XYZ in my brain. I'm gonna move my golds over. They're gonna bother me being right there. I like my golds to be like something that's done last, so I need to move them out of the way. So my brain is very analytical. Like, it's a very process-driven oriented brain. And that's something that I've never really been able to, whenever she's tried to teach me, it just hasn't gone well. But then we were in San Diego, and we were at the Spanish Art Village in San Diego, which is amazing if you've ever been there. It's a collection of artists that have all of these art studios in San Diego, in Balboa Park, and they were doing an exhibit on brush painting, and they had where you could actually try brush painting, and I was like, that looks fun. So we did it, and my mom was like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. For her, she was struggling with it, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I love it. I want to do it. And as I've mentioned before, once I like something, once I'm like, I like this, I dive in like 100% full bore all the way. And I've have never looked back. I did have a couple of years between Afghanistan and when I was on the aircraft carrier where I did not do any brush painting. Ooh, I have to switch over to some greens. But other than that, now we're going to switch over. We got our little berries done. So now we're going to go into some leaves. So from that, I like jumped in with both feet all the way and haven't looked back. And that was about, I just had some, actually today, I just had some memories pop up on my, my Facebook, feed of like this time, like, you know, like what were you doing, where it's basically like, look at this memory from 9 years ago. And at this point, 9 years ago, I had all of these paintings and everything. So 9 years ago, it was basically when I started doing my brush painting, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So we're going to do some greens, get some light green in here. And for me, it's because there's a specific way that you have to hold the brush. There's a specific way to load the brush. There's a specific way that you have to do like your brush strokes. And for me in my brain, it just makes sense. So that's something that I've always, like it just clicked and it just made sense. So this is always, I never have any idea how this is going to turn out. So we'll see how they go. Because I hate doing the back strokes like this because I want to do a leaf coming down this way. And back strokes and I just don't get along well. So we're going to see how it goes. Also, we'll see if I have the right amount of moisture on this leaf because I have not warmed, normally I warm up and practice, but I'm filming this after work, and you know, I didn't take the time to warm up and practice because I'm like, I need to get this filmed and up so I can get it going because yes, so we're gonna we'll see how it goes. And then we're gonna do, probably should get some darks, more darks on here. When I get quiet, it's because I'm working on a stroke. And we're going to do a little bit. Oop, not the worst leaf. Not bad for a beginning leaf stroke. Some of my leaves will be better than others, but you'll get the gist of it. It'll be a fun holly painting. It'll be a holly branch, and then we'll have the branch coming down afterwards. But anyways, so yeah, I like jumped in with both feet on the brush painting. It just clicked in my brain, and I've been brush painting ever since, and I love it. It's one of those things that just always has, it's just kind of made sense for me. We're gonna get a little bit tiny, I don't want that much black. Well, we'll go with that right there. Okay. So now we'll do our next leaf, and we'll do, yeah, this way. I like my leaves better this direction. And then I'll do this leaf this way. Boop, boop. See, that's a better leaf because then I can have a little tip of the leaf. And normally it would like have more moisture in the paper, in the water. You can see how that's bleeding in a little bit there. But because this paper is already mounted onto the scroll, it's essentially what we call sized. So sized paper basically typically has more glue to it, so there's less bleeding. Unsized paper basically has very little glue in the paper, so there's going to be a lot of bleeding typically. But when you already have a pre-mounted paper like this, it's essentially like working on there's a hair on my thing. It's all like working on unsized, or it's like working on sized paper. I always end up getting all sorts of paint all over my fingers when I do this. So yes, I have my iPad set up so I can look at the photo that I want to paint and that I'm following for my brush strokes for the image that I'm painting. So we actually need to, we're going to slide this down so I can actually get to the top of the scroll for that upper brush stroke. Otherwise, it's going to get in the way and I won't be able to paint that stroke. So we're going to slide that down, get a little bit of that there. Need a little bit of darks here. So this should be going up on Christmas Eve. So I hope everybody is having a wonderful Christmas Eve. I should be in the chat below talking to you guys, and I will be doing a whole lot of nothing other than relaxing and being in the chat talking to you guys. We're going to just do a fat leaf right there. Bop. And we're going to do a fat leaf. Droop. Ooh, I like that leaf. That leaf turned out nice. Ooh. I'm like, this is so strange talking while I paint. Ooh, so strange talking while I paint. Okay, I need to move that back up. Get it out of my way so I can come back down here. And we're going to do this one right here to kind of come down a little bit. I like to be able to see all of my paper. Oh, but I don't want to see all the paper. Ooh, I almost painted my wall. Oh, that wouldn't have been good. My mom will be probably watching this as well. I don't know if she'll watch it live or if she'll watch on like the replay, but she'll totally be laughing at me as I do this. She laughs at all my videos though, so that's like nothing new. Sound effects. I do my sound effects. I always do sound effects. Ooh, I'm gonna have to do that one's not a very good brush stroke. Boop. But you know, this part of it is just having fun with it. Okay, I want to do a backwards leaf, or the underside of a leaf. So one of the things I love, so anyways, like I said, I started doing this back about 9 years ago, back in 2014. We're going to do a little bit of the red with a little bit of the green, mix that up to make an underside of a leaf. I need a little bit more green with that. So I want, yeah, like that underside of the leaf, a little bit more green with that. So that way, and I want a darker red dab of that. That works. And we go with that. So we're going to go, I don't know why I have so many fuzzies on my brush right now. So I'm going to go with this. And I should have just left this pulled down. My camera and my setup is interfering with me being able to operate normally. Whop. And then we'll have that. Boop. There. There's the underside of our leaf. Look at that. And now, oh yes, now we need to turn our leaves into holly leaves. That's going to be fun. All right, let's change our brush. We want which brush do I want to do? A mountain horse brush, or do I want to use this brush? It's like, just like with diamond painting, how we end up with our favorites. It's the same thing when I'm doing my brush painting. I kind of end up with my favorites. This is kind of like my go-to favorite. I do love this brush, but the mountain horse brush is a really good brush. I might try this brush and see how I feel doing this brush, because this is a nice brush. I do like a mountain horse brush. We'll see. Anyways, when I go back and listen to this, it'll be interesting to hear what I even have to say. So we do want to make these dark. So we're going to go with some brown, with some dark green, with a little bit of black mixed in for some darks. The black goes a really long way, so you need to use like very little. But I also need to take all of the moisture off of that, because that's going to be way too much if I leave that moisture in there. Yeah. So let's see, what do we have? We want to go with, whoop, I need a little bit more moisture actually in that, but there. And we're going to go with, I need a sharp point. So we're going to make these into, so we're going to take this one to there. And there. That one actually does need, so I do need to use this brush. This is the right brush. It just needs more green. So we're going to make this one into this way here. And that's what's going to turn these into holly leaves. And these are the details that really like make a painting, are these little accents. Because otherwise, you know, we had leaves, but now we have interesting leaves. Interesting leaves. That's what's awesome. Ooh, that one didn't have a point. Sound effects. I feel like I always have to have sound effects. Does anyone ever have like theme music to their life? Like I used to always have, like I still have like the songs. I actually have a running note in my I actually have like this running note in my phone that's like the different songs for the different eras of my life. And I'm not like a Taylor Swift fan, so it's not like I have my like Taylor Swift eras or anything, but I literally have a note in my phone that has my songs for, you know, the different points in your life, where this is my song for this point in my life. This is a song for this point, like my theme song for the different times and different like key points in my life, where this was like the song that was a meaningful part of my life at that point in time. Like in high school, I feel like every single time I walked into a room, I feel like I had either the Imperial March from Star Wars was playing in my head, or the theme song for the theme song for Pink Panther. Those were the two songs that were always playing in my head at one point or another. When I walked into a room, it was either bom 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 or doo 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 doo. One of those two things was playing in my head. Either or. One of those two things. So yes, I always had a theme song, one of those two songs. And each stage of my life, I've got different music and different songs that like key points in my life had different songs to them. I wonder, does everybody else have it the same, or was it just me? Feel free to comment below and tell me what your theme song was, or what your current theme song is for different stages of your life. That one was a little bit too wet. You can see I didn't blot that one, so we got a little bit of water there. Oh well, it would have bled a lot more if I hadn't been, you know, with it a little bit more on this. But yes, so now we can come back over to here, and we are going to actually add the back side of that leaf. In the back side of the leaf, we're going to have a little bit of our darks for the back side of that leaf. So that's something that we'll actually be able to get a little bit more of. So that, we will blot that to get some of the darks out of there. And we'll go boom, boom. And then we'll go with here. And then we'll go with this and then go down. So basically the back side of the leaf, or well, the front side of the leaf, because we're looking at the back side of the leaf, but you see the leaves in profile. So there's always pieces and parts that you see of the leaves in brush painting like this. Readjusting my seat. I forgot to bring water in with me. Why did I not bring water? Always need to have water.
All right, and now I'm going to pull out this brush, because this one is one that I like for the detailing of this. And ooh, do I want red gold, yellow gold, or blue gold? I think I'm going to go with red gold. I think I want the red gold for this. We're going to use our red gold, and we're going to accent these things with some red gold. So, yes, brush painting totally, like this is one of those things where has given me like so much of my appreciation for so many aspects of like the different, a lot of different cultures within like China does Chinese brush painting. Japan has, oh, I need more, I need it to be thicker. Japan does sumi-e. Korea also has brush painting as well. And they all have their different aspects of it. Okay, that needs to be, I want that to be a little bit thicker. I got a lot of water in there. So they all have their different aspects of the brush painting. I just need a thick blob of it. I do like the gold. The gold looks amazing. I just have to... I have two different gold paints. I have this gold paint and then I have another gold paint. And it depends. Sometimes I use this one and sometimes I use the other. Today I went with this gold paint. I just have to get the right ratio of... There, that's a better ratio. The right ratio of water to paint, because it can be a little bit more translucent otherwise. So... And that's what we're getting there, because otherwise you can see how it goes there. So yes, now we're getting into there. That one wants to come down there. And we even get some of this one coming up. And we get it there. A little ploppy there on that one. And a little plop on that one. Ooh. There. Alright. We'll wipe out with our brush. I also normally take my time a lot more when I'm doing these paintings, but I'm trying to go quickly so I can actually finish this in this video, because I have to be able to sign it and everything in this video for you guys. So we're going to slide that down because I'm about to move down into the next section down here, because that's kind of one cluster, and I'll do my stems and the final details last.
In case you guys were wondering, like I said, I'm referring back to previous painting that I've done. So I keep referring back and deciding which way I want to go with this. So if you watch me continuously looking back up, I have my iPad on the window ledge above me, looking at it. See, look at this. I just paint all over myself. So I hope this isn't like super boring for you guys watching me do this as I go. Oh, and I just have to remember not to put my hand down on the canvas now that I've got like all this paint all over me. So we're going to do a little cluster down here, but I will put my hand down on the canvas because that's what I do. I put my hand down. So I said iPod initially. So who had an iPod back in the day? Oh, I was today at work. We were having what was really funny is the music was like spot on music that one of my corpsmen, she was playing a music playlist, and I was like, man, this is like spot on. I'm leaving a little bit of weight there. I want that accent away. I was like, this is like all of the tunes. That's like a total throwback to the music that I used to like play all of the time and listen to all the time when I was in college, like mostly in physical therapy school. So when I was in grad school working on my doctorate, these were the tunes that were like my jam. This is what we would do Zumba to in school. Like this was like the jam at that time, which was like 2009 to 2012 is when I was in physical therapy school. And it was so hilarious because I was like, man, you're just like really bringing it back. And she was like, yeah, this is like the point of view you were in middle school from 2009 to 2014. And I was just like face palm because I was working on my doctorate from 2009 to 2012. And she was in middle school from 2009 to 2000. That was like middle school point of view. And I was like, wow, this was me in, like, I had already graduated from high school, graduated with my bachelor's degree. And I know some of you guys are like watching this and you were like, we graduated from high school in like the 70s or the 80s or the 90s or whenever, insert year that you graduated here. But like for me, I was just like facepalm because she was, you know, like most of the people that I work with are now, I'm like considered the old crowd, and I graduated from high school in, as I talk and like blob, I graduated from high school in 2005, and most of the people that I work with nowadays graduated from high school in the, these ones are gonna be a little bit smaller as they're up there. They graduated from high school in like she graduated from high school in 2017 is when she graduated from high school. And that's like pretty standard nowadays. Like a lot of these younger personnel that I work with, like are born in the early, like especially some of the really new ones coming in are born in like the 2000s. And I'm like, I graduated from school. I graduated from high school when you were born. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like this stereotypical millennial in any way, shape, or form. I was chatting with Lindsay, Life with Lindsay, about this. I think it was yesterday, from whatever day that I'm filming this right now. We were chatting about this yesterday. This is why this looks so messy, is because I'll just wipe my brush right over here because I don't feel like picking that up. And that gets wet, and I don't feel like grabbing another one that's like literally right there. So I just wipe it right there. But I was chatting with Lindsay about this, like, stereotypical millennial that I hate answering the phone. Like, I will be like, no, don't call me. I don't want to have to call anything. I hate answering the phone. I'm also the stereotypical millennial who's like, oh, someone's at my door, let me run and hide from the door. Or I'm like, the cats will be, Mochi and Sushi will be sitting in the window, like, they'll stare, somebody knocks at the door, they'll be in the window, like staring at the person knocking at the door, looking at the person at the door, and then Mochi will turn and look at me like, are you gonna come answer this door, Mom? And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not gonna answer that door. I'm not expecting anybody. There's no way I'm answering that door, Mochi. Are you crazy, little cat? No. And then it's comic because she'll stare at me, stare at the door, stare at me, stare at the door, because she can see the front door from like the front window, obviously. But she's like doing this comic back and forth, looking at me, looking at the door, looking at me, looking at the door. And I'm like, would you stop? You're like practically making it obvious that I'm sitting here, like hiding from view of the door so nobody can see me. And I'm avoiding answering the door because I don't want anyone to know that I'm home. Because my car is in the garage, so you can't tell that I'm home. Like, I don't want it to be apparent that I'm here in any way, shape, or form. I'm like that quintessential millennial. I've always despised answering the phone. Always despised answering the phone. Never been a fan of it, ever. Not something that I enjoy doing. Do not like answering the phone. Like, give me the choice of sending a text. Absolutely. I'll send a text message. Can I book it online? 100%. Let me book it online. Do I have to call to do it? No, thank you. I don't want to do that. Can we just not and say we did? And I'll be happy. But I have to call for that? Oh, I don't want to do it now. I am so not, like, I'm like the stereotypical millennial in that aspect. I'm just not a fan. Not a fan in any way, shape, or form for it. Ooh, yes, gold. We're going to add some gold. Gold little dotty dots. All right, back to our gold. Boop, boop. We're going to do some gold. Gold, gold, gold. We could add some yellow gold, but since we already started with that gold, we're going to call it a good. We're going to do some gold dots in different angles on our little, these things. Boop, boops. Boop, boops. Boop, boops. 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 I know. Sound effects. Gotta make them like little boot marks in different places. Because you gotta make it look like they're facing like all different directions, and you're looking at like the different angles of the holly berries looking at you. So that's why we have to boop the gold in different places. So we did the gold. Now we need to come down and do a couple leaves. I always have to remember to wash my brush because I'm really bad at doing that. And then I'm like, my brush is getting crusty because I forgot to wash the brush. See, I still have green on here that I forgot to rinse out, but I need to rinse it. I also need to clean out my my thingy palette, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a palette per se because we don't really use palettes in brush painting. It's more of my like tray mixer thing for this stuff, but Let me get my greens. Yeah, I need to do that. So we're going to take this. Kind of has, usually I'll take my squirt bottle, spray some color in there, and we're going to wipe that out real quickly because I need some space. Just needs a little bit more space. So that's just going to look gross. But this is what happens in my brush painting realm. So now I can kind of do that and not have as much color mixed up right there. Whoop. Now we're going to mix it with this green, this dark green here, and a little dauble of black. The black is what really darkens that spot because it always dries lighter. It always dries lighter. So now we're going to come down here with this one, and then we're going to do, oh yeah, that was a good leaf. Boop. That was a good leaf. So, anywho, yeah, so stereotypical millennial here. I wonder what you guys are like. What era are you guys from? Let me know below. And if you are a millennial, are you a stereotypical millennial, or are you somebody who does not mind answering the phone? I've always hated it, like never been a fan of answering the phone. Okay. Gotta extend that line down, and now we have to go with, and it's basically how you hold the brush and angle the brush is what gives you the different colors in the different ways. I need to make that a little bit wider right there. Nope. All right. Now we need to come back over to our dark with a little bit of black for our holly leaves. So we need that right there. Sometimes I have to stare at what I'm doing and I can't talk as much because it requires concentration. I have a big blob of paint on my, that one needs to go with that right there and that one right there. All right, a big blob of paint. There we go. Now, let me rinse my brush. Always forgetting the rinsing of the brush. In case you guys are wondering where the girls are, I think they're in the dining room. Sushi was like, Mom's eating dinner. I need to lay on the table while she eats dinner. And then she just never got out of her basket. I have a little basket on the kitchen table where the girls take turns sleeping while I eat my dinner because they're not allowed to be on the table while I'm eating unless they're laying in their basket. So that way they're not pesting me for food. So that's the compromise. They can lay in their basket. And they like their basket. Sushi has taken over the basket. She really likes the basket. So they're in the basket, or Sushi was in the basket when I came out here. But Mochi is probably finding something to lay down in to get warm because, you know, it's Mochi. She likes to be toasty. And then the kitten, maybe I want to try some gold with this brush. Let me see if that looks better. Do this brush with gold. Do I want to? Ooh, I like this brush with the gold. I think I'm going to use this brush. It looks better with the streaks with this one. Whoop. I just have to remember. So when you're doing your strokes, you also want to do, like, I'm not very good at making sure I do it consistently, but you don't want to, like, swoop. You want to swoop down and then back up. But it's a smooth motion that you want to do. We'll call that one good with that one right there. Boop. There we go. Yeah, that looks much better. Much better strokes of gold with the mountain horse. I should have just used the mountain horse in the first place. A little bit of a thicker brush, but it looks fine up there. We'll leave it be. It's good. It's fine. Everything's fine. So now we're back to some holly berries. Holly berries. I didn't decorate for the holidays this year because, look at that. I just put my hand down in, well, I didn't put it down in ink. I put it on the edge of my tray. So I didn't decorate for the holidays because of Sushi and all of her chaos, but because I knew that would be a disaster. If I had tried to decorate, oh gosh, it would have been a mess if I had tried to decorate. But if I had decorated, one of the things that I do like getting is getting actual, like I like getting wreaths or like the bunches for the door because I love that smell when you walk up to your front door and you've got that, like those fresh holiday wreaths. Oh, smells so good. That's one of the things that I do like, is getting the fresh bunches of like leaves and holly for all of the wreaths and all the goodies for the front door. That's something that I do like. So I didn't get anything though this year because I just couldn't be bothered. I would have had to go like 2 towns over to get anything anyways, because they don't care. I don't have any like stores like that in my town where I live. So I would have had to go a couple towns over to get anything though. So, you know, I was being lazy. I didn't feel like being bothered doing any of that. So, none of that. We didn't do anything. No go. No decorating. I did decorate with a little diamond painted Christmas tree that's sitting in my living room. So I did decorate. I did put up a Christmas tree, and I showed it to my mom, and my mom was like, oh my gosh, I need one of those. And she actually went online to buy one of those, but it wouldn't get here until like basically right at Christmas, or like close to almost after Christmas, but basically right borderline time. And she was like, this would be too late to do it because she's just learning how to just starting diamond painting, and she's much slower than me. And she was like, well, at this point I might as well not. So she decided no on the Christmas tree, but she's going to do it next year. So she will diamond paint a Christmas tree for next year for the holidays. I thought that was super cute that she was going to do that. All right, we're going to add gold to our holly berries. I think they've sat long enough. Get some gold on those little butts, holly berry butts. And now we are going to move on down to our big bunch. We're going to come down here. We're going to have a big bunch right here. And that'll be our last one, and then we'll do our branch swooshing down. Let's see. We will keep it like this. And then I will sign it for you guys, and we will see how it looks. And then we'll fill in for all of the last little bit of details. All right. So we're going to want, we'll probably start with the holly again. Let's see. Yep, we're going to start with the holly again. Boom, let me get my reds. Get on my brush, too much water in that brush. We're going to go with some lighter reds over here, just a little bit of that darker red. I want that red right there. Now let me go with this. Yeah, see how much water was in that brush? So much. All right, and then we're going to come down here. This is going to be the tricky part, working around the roll of the scroll. Hopefully you guys can see. I can't see my camera up there, and I don't want to keep trying to look back at it, so hopefully you guys can see well to see what I'm actually doing down here. We're going to go with this one here, make our little circles. And we want some differences in colors to make some different colored holly circle, little holly balls. And go from there. Look at that. So I figured this would be the perfect time to mention to you guys, for anybody present in the premiere live, in the live chat, I have yet to figure out how I'm going to do the details. I may figure out how to do a random comment picker from the live chat comments. But for anyone live in the premiere or commenting in the premiere present, make sure you have put in a comment at some point during this premiere today in this live chat, because one of you guys is going to get the opportunity to actually win this finished well, it's not a canvas, it's not a diamond painting. I was doing that, like I used to always say, when I first started the channel, I used to always call diamond paintings brush paintings, and now I'm calling my brush painting a diamond painting. But one of you guys will get to be a lucky winner and take home, or have me send you, the completed painting that you are seeing here once you see it completed, obviously. So more to follow. I will figure out how I am going to do that as at the end, but stay tuned for that, because one of you guys present in today's live premiere will win this canvas or painting, I guess. Live. I'll figure out all the details of that, but one lucky winner will win from the live chat, will win this painting somehow, in some way, shape, or form. If you were in the premiere, you will get the chance to win this canvas, or this canvas. See, again, saying things all weird, but one lucky person will get to win this. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention, and I did my brush stroke completely wrong on that leaf. Completely wrong on that leaf. So, what am I doing? We salvaged it. We'll turn it into a holly, and then it won't even matter, because we'll have holly branches, or holly stripes, swipes, whatever you want to call them. We'll have the holly thingies, and then you won't even see. Words. Challenging. Again, like I said, I'm not used to doing my brush painting and talking at the same time, so this is a challenge for me, you guys. And we're going to do another little, I need some blacks on that guy. I need some darks to mix up the color of that one. That one is cool leaf. I like that leaf. I want this little leaf right here. Boom. And then we're going to do another little leaf. Boop. I'm going to fill in with a little bit of the body of this leaf. All right. And, ooh, we want to do a backwards leaf. Or not a backwards leaf, but the underside of a leaf. I always say backwards leaf. We want the underside of a leaf. Because you don't always just see the tops of the leaves. You want to see some of the undersides of the leaves. Need a little daub of red. Okay, so we're gonna go with that. So we're gonna go boom and because you kind of have that reddish green tint to them. So we get some reds there. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, now we're gonna go add in our spikes, or holly spikes. That's what we're adding in. I was like, I had to think. There, we got our darks. So now we're gonna go with our spikes. Need to add some more darks to that. I need some blacks. And more darks of that. Ooh, that was a little much. So much excess paint. What's really cool about the paint that I use is basically the paint just lives in, we're gonna add that one there. So the paint lives in these little stackable little dishes is what I leave them in. And then when I'm not painting, I just, it's all dried out. Then all I have to do is throw some water on it, like squirt it. Sorry, I couldn't talk and do the swipes. I throw the water on it when it's time to reactivate it. That one needs a little bit right there. And then I need a little bit with the tinge of brown. So then all you have to do, like I said, is squirt it with some water to reactivate it, and then you'll have some reactivated or reengaged charcoal, reactivated charcoal. No, you'll have some reactivated paint. So it just sits in stacks like all the rest of my colors. I've got a whole bunch of them. They stack up, and then when they dry out, you have the lid on so the cats don't get into it, and then you just stack them up like this into like little towers and go from there. So yeah, it's great. We need a little bit of water on that one, but clean water for the golds. I love the golds. Got this beautiful palette of golds and silvers. It's gorgeous. Whoosha, whoosha, whoosha. All right. So we're gonna go down the center. This one needs to go there, there. And then, oh, I need to add the black splotch to this one. And then that will go there. there, and then I can add, that needs to dry for a second before I can add the gold to that one. Ooh, I can add the gold to here though. These guys need gold little spots. Boop, 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 boop. The little gold spots. To all of those. Look at that. Look at it. It's coming along. We're getting there. We're getting close to the end, you guys. Close to the end. We're getting closer, closer, closer. All right, we just have to do the branch. We're going to do our gold like that. All right, so now I need a muddy light brown, which I'm going to use this. This is what's called an orchid bamboo, which is really good for like stems and branches for this one right here. It's also really good for like bamboo leaves and orchid leaves is what this is also really good for. So I want like a muddy brown, which you just kind of take a lot of the leftover stuff in there. So green and red together make a great brown. And you just kind of take everything that you have left to make it, and you just kind of make it like whatever. So I just take and mix whatever I have on my brush to make a brown. And you just make it, do you want it to be, how much do you want it to be? And then we're just going to kind of come down from here, work our way down. And I will have to use, I'm going to mix up a lot of this though, because I do have a broad area and this is a really, really dry paper and it doesn't really bleed. You see, this was extremely wet and there's like no bleeding. So I do have to bring up a lot of it. So we're going to do that, and we are going to go ahead and I don't think I will need any more gold. We're basically just going to do this. Oh, no, and we are not jumping up here.
So for the sake of time, I ended up having to speed up this portion for you guys. So it's at 2 times speed, and then of course that puts it into chipmunk speed. So to make it sound a little bit less atrocious and like crazy sounding for you guys, I decided to go ahead and do a voiceover. But also as I was working on the branches back here, I really didn't even talk at all. I was like, oh my goodness, I spent like the last however many minutes of drawing the stems and branches here, really not even talking to you. So the brush that I'm using in this part here is what's called an orchid bamboo brush. This is the type of brush that we use when we're doing painting like orchid, like the leaves for orchids, or bamboos when we're doing bamboo leaves as well. We use a different type of brush typically. We can use this brush for like bamboo stems. So right through here, I'm working on my my stems, and I just did like one of the cardinal no-nos of doing branches is you never do like a chicken foot, and I accidentally did a little bit of a chicken foot, so I had to kind of go back and like fix the chicken foot, which is what I did right there, where you kind of see those 3 branches that went together, that little spot kind of like dead center right there. And then I'm kind of looking at it, I'm looking at my composition of where my branches are, and I'm like, okay, where do I need to make my branches larger? Where do they need to be added to? And then you go in and you always add black ink, just straight, pure black ink to do your moss dots. And that's what I'm adding here. And we'll do 2 of them together, 1 of them apart, and you add variety with your moss dots. And that's what I'm adding there. And where you see that big blob where it bled at the very, very top of the canvas, or the canvas, goodness, at the very, very top of my paper. We don't use canvas in brush painting. We use paper. We use rice paper. But the bleeding is completely fine. Like there's no, like if you make a mistake in brush painting, you either leave it as is and move on and you just kind of like work with what you have, or you completely start over. There is no like, you really don't paint over what you had. You just kind of say, okay, it is what it is, and move on. Or you completely throw your paper away and you start over from scratch. But since I'm doing a scroll, it's basically, you don't really do that with scrolls. You kind of have to go as is. So here I'm starting to add in some of the stems for the little holly berries to kind of bring them back into everything. So kind of some of the finishing touches. And then I'm going to kind of look back through and say, okay, where do I need to add more of the actual branches? Where does it need a little extra? And that's what you see I'm adding right now. I decided that section needed like an extra accessory branch to kind of add a little bit more. And this is one of those things where you kind of look back at the composition and you see what does it need? Where does it need a little bit more? And that's what I'm adding. I'm also kind of looking back through, and you'll see me add a little bit more to the center branch where I'm like, oh, I don't like how that looks. I feel like it needs to be a little bit thicker. So I kind of added a little bit of a thickness to it with more of a drier brush to give it that kind of that thicker brush look to it. And then of course I had to add in my moss dots to the branches that I just added in. I needed to add the black ink moss dots there, so that's what I'm adding in there. Again, I'm taking a look at my composition to see if I need to add anything else, and I decided I needed to go back with my stems for my holly berries, and they needed some of that deep red, kind of that dark red, almost a plum color, to kind of tie them back down. So I'm adding that in, bringing them back down, kind of thickening it up a little bit, giving them kind of that like anchored look, because they looked like they were floating a little bit too much and I wanted them to feel anchored in a little bit. So that's what I'm adding in that point. And now I'm kind of looking at it and I'm like, okay, I think we're done with the actual canvas. Now I'm looking at it and I'm deciding I need to go ahead and do my calligraphy. So I went ahead and I used Google Translate. So while I work on my calligraphy, I'll tell you my process. So I use Google Translate. I figure out what phrase I want. And I went with joy to all. I did happy holidays. Joy to all is what I went with. So the first 4 characters are happy holidays, and then comma joy to all is the phrase that I went with. So I just use Google Translate because I do not know I don't know Chinese. That's one of the things that's on my list, on like my to-do list of the many things I'd love to learn, would be to actually learn Chinese for the purposes, primarily for when I'm working on my brush painting, so I could actually do this without having to do it myself. So I use Google Translate to get the Chinese characters, and then from there I take it into a website. It's a website that I have that will actually give me the basically the calligraphy characters that I can then copy. So one of the 2 masters that I study under does have calligraphy. I do take some calligraphy classes with one of the 2 masters that I study under. But for the most part, I tend to be relatively self-taught. I kind of know what stroke, for the most part, from learning from one of my masters, I have the main strokes that I know that I'm supposed to do first. But I am in no way, shape, or form an expert. And it takes many, many years to be an expert calligrapher. In the sense of when I think of calligraphy, because I have my brush painting background, when I think of calligraphy, this is the way that I think of calligraphy is this style of calligraphy, like brush painting calligraphy, actual Chinese calligraphy. That's to me calligraphy. So as you can see here, I'm going through, I'm writing out the characters. I'm kind of got a little bit crooked as I was writing. And you can see that even though I went with happy holidays, joy to all as my phrase, the 4 characters up top are actually repeated again in the bottom. And you can see that even though the phrase kind of carried over. And that's one of those things that's really interesting about some of the different translations that I choose. Once I finish those characters, then I'm going to go through and I'm going to do my signature. So with my signature, that I'm going to do to the right of the characters as I do that signature block. And I couldn't remember, it's been so long since I've actually finished and finalized a painting. So I've been doing my paintings regularly, but to finalize my painting, the last step that I do is my calligraphy and then my signature and then my seal. And you'll see that in a moment. So I had to pull up one of my previous paintings to remember how to actually do my signature because it's been a while. So I have my characters that I've decided as my artist name there, which is Ming and Dian. And that's the 3 characters that you see I'm writing right there. And then I'm going to pull out my seal that you'll see in just a moment. And my seal, which of course it has to be buried under all the things. So I'm going to grab that. And I actually carved the seal myself. So the master that I've studied under for a number of years, for the last 9 years I've studied under him. He's actually Chinese himself, and he actually is the one that I've learned how to carve the seal from. And you can see this is the seal that I have right there. And you kind of carve it in kind of like the mirror image, basically, because once you actually stamp it and load it up with the Cinnabar paste, which is what I'm loading up right there, and you want to make sure you get a nice even coating of the Cinnabar which gets everywhere. I'm going to put a little rubber pad underneath I'm kind of like laying out and getting the idea of where I want it. Once you get that, you want to get make sure you line it up, and you always want to triple check because it's a square seal and you don't want it to be off.
And voila, our painting is complete. I will move these out of the way, move this out of the way there. And we are now officially done with our image. Look at that. And ta-da! The holly is done. We made a mess over here, but look at that. Beautiful, isn't it? Turned out quite nice, if I might say so myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If it was your first time ever seeing a brush painting done, I hope you enjoyed my lesson or my painting for you guys in brush painting. And I will see you guys, hopefully I'll see you guys in a future video. If you enjoyed this, come over and watch me again. I do plan on periodically having some brush painting videos up for you guys to enjoy. But it was a pleasure keeping you guys company on this wonderful Christmas Eve out here in my desert climate. And I will see you guys next time we will jump on over to our next Christmas premiere video. Have a great day, everybody, and enjoy the holidays. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.